so they're letting us all line up outside of the gate. So when I get in, we'll get started unpacking and hopefully get a run in pretty early. So that's the plan.
Actually, those guys on the road somewhere and get more information, because I think that's one of the most entertaining things that's happened the past few years. All these mini boat parks coming out running and front-wheel drive. Chris Schneider.
John's getting ready for pass one. So Badmaro ended up running pretty good. It ran an 8:58 for its final time. I actually ran an 8:60 on my first pass and lifted it, and then I ran an 8:58 at 144 on my last pass, so that was good. So Badmaro is just, it's finally there and it's moving and it's doing good. But a little bit of downside is that right before I made my last pass, RetroNova did the same thing that happened to me at Woodward. It took out 2 rod bearings and like the rod journal, and took out 2 rods. And so like we were talking, like we know that since the same thing happened to 2 people at the same time, you know, me and Dad both, that people probably like, did you do your clearances? Did you do this? But I'm here to say that we are definitely both perfectionists and that we are very, 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 very incredibly careful with that kind of stuff. There are a couple common factors that me and him are both considering as possible issues, and we're going to look into it further, because mechanically and assembly wise, like, we take the ultimate care. So I just feel really bad for Dad because I know he's worked so hard. So we will see what happens later. We're last, like always, but we're not actually the ones that are late. We're ready to go, but Dave right there and Ryan are helping Clark, and Clark's over there helping Tom. So we're kind of on hold.
Yep. I can already tell it's the flip-flops, dude. If I had something that's actually fixed, my feet are all slipping around and my flip-flops are gripping it.
Yeah, I'm fine.
And in your wallet.
Yeah. Good thing I had a couple dollars in it. I'm fine. I have no reason to get up now.
Falling and I can't get up.
We are at our checkpoint 1 on our second drive. So sadly, RetroNova's not with us, but it's kind of a cool little stop. So, little produce farm. So Badmaro, such pretty country. I wish we could see it all in the daytime, but I have a feeling we won't. So it's super pretty. Pretty cool too.
Oh no, that's not even corn.
It's sunflower. Checkpoint number 2, day 2. I don't know what's going on with this phone. I don't know why it's got this weird light, but we are at a pizza restaurant. Pascal's Three Brothers Italians. I don't know if you can see that. But yes, I want to get. So we gotta get in our car because somebody wants to leave. So
Where's your host?
we have decided to go ahead and eat at our stop. There's the light. So we decided to go ahead and eat at our stop. Because why not? So we're gonna have some pizza and then get back on the road. I think we're only about 20 minutes out. It seems late. I feel like it's late, but it's actually only like 8:30. So I'm ready for food and then to get to the hotel at a decent time tonight. Oh, look at that pizza. That's greatness.
What do we do? Eat. What do we eat?
So wait, do you like this better or do you
like that other thing. What's that thing you guys drive and do?
Power tour?
Yeah, power tour.
What's that other thing?
Do you like that one
Lame.
better? Is that more your style?
Well, you
No.
see,
The answer
if I
is
were a
no.
true racer, this would be more my style. That's why I'm trying to learn and be
Okay.
badass.
So which-
And so now I just have to rein my skills.
We are currently in the lanes for pass number 2. My first pass was not bad, but it was an 874, and I'd really like to lower my average after that Monday. It just hurt. So I'd like to be in the quick 8, but I ran an 874, like I said, and then that was because I lifted. So I'm gonna go again and try to get like, I don't know, 860 at least, 850ish hopefully. So one more pass and then we'll probably call it good and then head out. So it's been pretty calm morning, not too much chaos, so that's nice. But if I would have got in the lines earlier, I could have got 2 and been done already, but I needed to lash my valves and that just took a little longer and started checking some other stuff. So we have 1 pass and we're gonna get 2 and then we're gonna head out. I'm tired. Alright guys, this is it for Badmaro. We only made it to Wednesday and we lost a lifter. I should have cleaned them out and sent them back and had them rebuilt right before we left, but it didn't happen because I just had so much I had to be buying right then. So here we are because of that. Here, it's not their fault, it's mine. I should have sent them back. So we're at a shop and we're going to get another trailer. So our race week's done, drag week's done for 2019 for both of us. That's it. So at this point, I was frustrated. I had just worked 3 weeks before. Dad and I had just worked 3 weeks before trying to get this motor ready. We had put so much effort into drag week this year. He'd worked all year on his car, and I had tested this year and then worked the last 3 weeks to get it ready. And drag week had just successfully kicked Dad's butt and my butt both before the week was even halfway over. So it was really frustrating. There was a lot of emotion at this point. I was mad at myself because I should have sent the lifters back, but being that we had to do everything in such a short amount of time and it's just expensive, we didn't have the time, one, and I didn't really have the extra funds to send lifters in and have them rebuilt. So we cleaned them up and we put them back in, soaked them in oil, put them back in, and we thought that was fixed. So when I thought that was my problem, I was frustrated with myself. We also didn't tear it down because I didn't want to have an open motor sitting out at somebody's shop when we didn't have parts to put back in it. So based on what we had found out that morning and the knowledge that I had from what I probably should have done, which was sending the lifters back, I concluded that it was a lifter. It sounded like a lifter. And so I took my couple minutes to pout because it was frustrating and sulk, and we ended up leaving the car there. We went back to clean up and headed to the hotel so we could go get the truck and trailer. But I just needed a couple minutes to sulk. and then I need lifters.
Now.
6 hours ago.
6 hours ago.
Okay, at this point, my pouting was over and my mind had shifted by the time we got back to the hotel, and it was, let's find lifters and let's get them in the car. Well, as much as I was determined to make that happen, and as much as we had the capabilities to make that happen, we were missing lifters. So I put it on social media and it got shared an incredible amount of times, and so many people were trying to help out. And I thought, surely on the East Coast, somebody has to have LS lifters. Granted, they are bigger diameter lifters, but still, like, someone should have at least one. And I searched and I searched and I searched for hours, and I called every lead I could, and I called Crower, Iski, anybody I could call, and they were gonna overnight them, but we were gonna be like an hour short the next morning to get these back in and get to the track, because we were still like 6 hours, I think, away from the next track. So it wasn't working out. And so we were driving back to get the trailer just in case. We rented a car, we were gonna drive back and get the trailer. And if we found lifters, we were gonna leave the trailer there and head back, but we were on our way just in case. And 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock rolls around, and we still don't have lifters. So at that point, I pretty much had to give it up. That was frustrating. That was disappointing, because once I had made that call to like, let's do it, let's make it happen, and then to not have the parts I needed, that sucked. So we ended up having a little vacation out of this, and ended up being fun. We were in DC, we had spent the time and the money to come, so we thought, why not make this fun? So we hopped in our rent-a-van and we drove and we looked at DC and we played tourist, and that's how we ended drag week. Sorry, there's not as much racing or as much drag week action as you might like or I might like, because trust me, I would have much rather stayed in drag week than touristing. But we did have fun, so we made the best of it. Just so you know, it ended up not being a lifter problem. And I feel goofy saying that because it's gonna be like, why didn't you tear it apart? Why didn't you investigate further? But as I mentioned earlier, we didn't want to tear the motor apart and have it sitting open outside at somebody's shop in rain and all these other conditions if we didn't have the parts. And that's not a quick job to just tear everything apart just to look at stuff. So when we got it back to the shop, we realized that one of the rocker stand bolts had come loose, backed out, and it sounded like a lifter, it acted like a lifter, it picked up lash like a lifter had gone. I know it sounds like the goofiest thing in the world, and it feels like it, trust me, being in this position and knowing that. But it was just one of those things of being at the track, talking to people, having people around you watching, not having time to think, and lack of sleep just led us to draw the conclusion that this was, it was a bigger problem than it was. But based on the circumstances, it made sense at the time. And had we pulled it apart there, the chances of finding it were probably slim, just because mine's so preoccupied. But I mean, it is what it is. I was thankful I didn't have to fix anything or buy anything when I got back. So at least that was that. It sucked that that's what took me out, but like I said, I'm glad to know parts didn't fail and nothing had to be fixed. So It got missed. The reason it didn't get tightened was because we had 3 different people working on the motor the day before we had to leave drag week. We put new heads on, so we had to put the valve train back on and all that. And having 3 people go in and out and switching from working on motor to packing to working on motor to packing and back around, it got missed. It was negligence. We forgot to torque the rocker stand bolts, but it happens to the best of them. Like it is part of what it is. So frustrating, but like I said, still a good trip. So I hope you guys enjoyed this drag week video. Again, I'm sorry I'm sorry we both broke. That was not the intentions, but thank you guys for following along. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed. So be happy, go fast, and stay pretty. I will see you guys next time.